go in the STO.
Just before we go on, I want to say a big thank you to the guys at Pulse Rally for lending us their beautiful Lamborghini STO. So Pulse Rally is a luxury entertainment company offering unprecedented access to the most exclusive events and locations around the world. So go and check them out on pulserally.com. Links are in the description below, and give them a follow on Instagram at Pulse Rally. They got some great cars, great content, and great events. Welcome back to the bunker, and welcome to an incredibly special car that I didn't think we would have here so early, the Lamborghini Huracan STO. And I know what you're thinking, what on earth does STO stand for? That's Super Trofeo Omologato, which is Italian for race car for the road, which is pretty much what Lamborghini are telling us this thing is. So much so that they would class this as a road-going version of the car that won the Daytona 24 Hours 3 times. Now, I don't know about you, but this race car for the road thing gets thrown around a little bit too much for my liking. So in a minute, when we take it out on the road, we shall try and convey to you as eloquently as we possibly can just how much of a race car for the road this thing really is. Now then, never thought I'd start with a key, but this quite literally is the key to weight savings. Join me while I introduce you to the color of this car. This is named Verde Turbine, which again in Italian is battle tank matte green epicness. It really is striking. Don't know if the camera's doing it justice, but there's something about a matte finish on a Lamborghini because they have such an angular design language. The way that the light refracts over the body, and you can see every angle on this thing. And once again, I know I just said it, they have taken it to 11 on this thing, the way it is styled. However, the important thing about this car is it is very much a track bias car, and with that comes weight saving. And there is no greater demonstration of weight saving than what this key unlocks here, which is part of the display of the 75% carbon fiber body components on this car. So with the application of this key, you can unlock this little unlock down here. I already did that one over there earlier. And behold, in true race car fashion, a full clamshell design on the front of your STO. Just look at that. If this doesn't say race car, I don't know what does. And Lamborghini really hold true that they have honestly and truly taken learnings from their Huracan GT3 program, their Super Trofeo EVO program. They've had a lot of years racing in GT racing, and they've said, you know what, we've got so much learning now and so much knowledge from success and time on the track. What are we going to do with that now? They're coming to the end of the line of this naturally aspirated V10. It's still running 631 brake horsepower as per the Huracan Performante. However, because of the carbon fiber paneling, because of the removal of all-wheel drive, there is no front diff here. This is only a rear-wheel drive car. The car is now 47 kilograms lighter even than the Performante. The Performante you can think of as that sort of track-biased road car which already had the lightweight treatment applied to it. But this is a completely different game. Look at this clamshell, the whole front end on this, completely carbon fiber. So sticking on the theme of weight saving, not only do we have a carbon clamshell, we have 20-inch lightweight magnesium wheels, both front and rear. I say front and rear because there's a trend right now for a staggered setup where sometimes it's 21-20, these are 20s all round. Speaking of 20, the glass, the windscreen, is 20% thinner than that on a Huracan Performante. And then at the rear, this colossal wing, which we'll talk about in greater detail shortly, uses what's known as a sandwich carbon fiber structure, which has allowed for 25% reduction in overall materials of the construction of the wing, but maintaining the same rigidity as if it were made conventionally. So lightweight, retained strength. Also, the aesthetic is ridiculous. And speaking of the aesthetic, we're going to spin this thing around and introduce you to what I would class the business end of the STO, because back here, things really get turned up to 11. And then, behold, this has got to be one of the most aggressive rear ends in the automotive industry. Just look at it. Now, while it looks incredible, one of the reasons that it looks this way is actually for cooling. So you can notice, I mean, quite cleverly, the STO logo is integrated into the rear here, but this is all effectively one perforated panel to help with heat dissipation, and that follows on through here, and more notably, right here. Look at this. Now, what you wouldn't want to do after sending this 10/10 round a track is have any small person come in and go, oh, look, a glowing red thing, because you can actually touch the exhaust pipe directly through this cooling area here. Let's just talk about the aero on this car, because now you're round the rear, you can appreciate the size of the wing, you can appreciate the diffuser. The car has massive advantages over the Performante in terms of aerodynamic performance and downforce. So downforce figures are around 450 kilograms. And to contextualize 450 kilograms of downforce, that's a 53% increase on the Performante, which is no slouch. Now, one of the defining aesthetic features and ultimately functional aero features on the car is this carbon spine down here. Now, the theory behind this is to improve your stability under cornering. So that, once again, effectively helps to control the airflow of the car sideways. Pretty trick indeed. And then the wing itself, the keen-eyed of you might have noticed that it is a twin aerofoil setup, which is also manually adjustable. Lamborghini says depending on the pitch and angle of attack that you set the wing, can adjust the balance of the car aerodynamically by 13%. So they've really thought about this, really translated a lot of the aero learnings from the GT3 program, the Huracan EVO, and I have to say, when you walk around it, I mean, the stance of it, the width of the arches, this car's wider. It's got these fantastic carbon vents here as part of this single clamshell. A, it looks cool, but B, at over 200 miles an hour, the air pressure under the wheel arch here needs to escape. So this is to extract high speed air pressure in the wheel well. It's all really thought out, really trick stuff. Speaking of trick stuff, we've got to show you the engine. Behold, 631 naturally aspirated V10 Lamborghini horsepower with gold tops on the cam covers. I mean, it's just awesome, isn't it? It's so good. Now, because it's a carbon shell, you do have to have a good look through these vents in order to see that. But think about this for a moment as a garage piece. Imagine when this is off, the front clamshell is exposed and open up. You would be forgiven for thinking that this actually is a race car. It would just look ridiculous. And I think at this moment, we should probably take a second to appreciate this, because at the point of this recording, we're approaching the apex of the car world changing. It's a shifting time where the next generation of supercars which are currently coming through are downsizing to 6-cylinder turbocharged. There's a lot of hybrid applications. The electric movement isn't far away, and like it or not, the likes of these are sadly becoming a dying breed. Now, in a minute, we're going to immerse you as best we can audibly into the magic of a high-revving, naturally aspirated V10. Welcome to the interior of the STO, and what an interior it is. In fact, I'm just going to close this on this resplendent door handle. Look at this. It's all about light weighting, but just here, there's this little carbon notch on this Alcantara pull tag here, and to open the doors, who needs door handles when you can have fabric handles? So it is cool, actually. I think we need to discuss the upgraded infotainment systems. This is the MMI, multimedia interface of the Huracan STO, and I think we should default to probably the star of the show, really, which is the telemetry setting. Now, I can't show you active right now because we're not at a circuit, but as you can see, this is purely designed with STO track driving in mind. Over 25,000 lines of code were written specifically for the telemetry program. It links in with Lamborghini's customer app, but it'll do things like automatically detect what circuit you're at, track your lap times, log your G-forces, etc. Now, all of this stuff links in with the telemetry system, so you can overlay it, look back at your laps, see where you can improve, or just overall have a great inbuilt system to record your track day settings. But remarkably, before this car even hit the road for any development mileage, Lamborghini drove around the world 3 times in a simulator. So the car was built, designed, developed, engineered in the sim first, in a virtual distance, driving 3 times around the world. And then we've got full carbon seats, lots of carbon fibre, Alcantara steering wheel, and the iconic massive paddle shifters connected to that twin clutch gearbox. And just one more thing, I'm going to pull the key back out of my pocket. You don't have to keep this on you in your pocket. There is a dedicated area for this. I shall share that with you shortly. But this is actually 3D printed. You wouldn't expect anything less, would you? This is specifically developed by the engineers at Lamborghini, and it has been referred to as the Cofango. The reason for that, it is the hybrid of 2 Italian words, which means hood and fender, which is exactly what this thing opens.
So here we go, in the STO. Oh, the sound and the response of the gearbox. First thing that is immediate is the steering feel, the steering weight and the directness of it. Now, unlike some of the options on Huracans gone by, this is, thank God, a fixed steering ratio. What I mean by that is there's no sort of city mode or variable ratio rack. It stays consistent, which is just much better from predictability, meaning it's just a better driver's car all round, really. Okay, first up we have 3 driver modes: STO mode, Trofeo, and Pioggia, which is wet mode. And these are designed to give, obviously, 3 very different driving characteristics. Wet mode, you're probably not going to use too often. This is a track car. If it's wet, rear-wheel drive, 631 horsepower. I don't know how much of that you actually want to be using, but it's there anyway. The whole point of this is, of course, that it's a track car that you can drive to the track on the road. Now then, relationship between engine and gearbox. Just sublime. Listen to this. Wow. I tell you something. The throttle response and the pickup is absolutely mesmerizing. Actually, despite the fact that this is, it really does feel it. I mean, there is inherent DNA here that it is a track bias car. What I mean by track bias is it will definitely thrive on smoother tarmac. I mean, I'm on these back roads here, know them fairly well, know that the surface is, for want of a better word, compromised. And yet it does do, by and large, a pretty good job of soaking it up. But you can hear it skipping over it. So those peaks in acceleration, you can hear it where it goes, that's where it's not absorbing bumps. That's where it's literally skipping over them. That's how stiff this thing is. Lamborghini say, while this is a track bias car, it is still, because it wears number plates, designed to be driven to the track. And, you know, by and large, it's fine, but you could hear it then, you could see it in my body as we were skipping over those bumps. This thing's stiff, but when you get to bumpy roads like this, it's awesome, but it sounds like a jet ski skipping over waves. You know, because it's actually taking off. Oddly, it's a quite enjoyable experience, but unlike, say, something like a Porsche GT3, which would absorb those bumps and it would maintain traction for more of the time, this thing just goes, you know what, you should really be on your way to the track, and it is what it is while you're on your way there. There's one thing for sure, it makes for a sense of occasion. Now then, tyres. There are 2 options of tyres on this car. a more road biased tyre and a more track biased tyre. Both have been specifically developed for the car. No doubt the track biased one will be designed to scrape every last millisecond of performance out of it. The trade-off of that is of course the longevity of it. Now, general rule of thumb is the faster the car, the softer the compound. And as a result of that, great if you're on track days, and let's face it, if you're going to be tracking a car that with options will be around about £300,000 sterling, you're probably not too fussed about swapping tyres after absolutely thraping it on a track. But if you want any sort of longevity for road use, there is a road biased tyre available for the car. Now, brakes, honestly. Brakes, Lamborghini are running a system called CCMR, which is effectively using a Formula One derived compound developed by Brembo in order to, once again, make this thing quick on the track. You see, I think a lot of people overlook the fact that stopping power makes you go quicker. It allows you to brake later, brake harder, gives you more confidence in the driving feeling of the car. And I gotta tell you, the brakes on this, and of course, while the brakes are exceptional, one massive contributor additionally to the brakes being great is the stickier compound tyres and of course, less weight. Less weight from a driver's car, always good news. But let's just tone it down a minute while we've got a bit of open road and see what this thing feels like on the full load. You ready? And then on the braking, what a machine! The gear shifts, wow! On the downshifts and the upshifts, the shift speed, the level that we're getting to now with engineering is breathtakingly precise. This is not an exaggeration. The shift speed is such, it's almost predictive. It's honestly so fast that by the time that the actuation of your fingers has completed a full retraction, the gear's already in before you've pulled your hand back entirely. It's just, honestly, it's just amazing. Are you ready? Listen to this. Between the engine and gearbox is out of this world cool. Okay, on a bumpy road, you can still hear it. It does hop, skip and bump around, but it doesn't put a smile on your face. I don't know what does. And in terms of confidence, the brakes, it's like throwing an anchor out into the tarmac behind you. The deceleration, as a result of that lack of weight, improved Brembo brakes, fancy carbon compound developed in Formula Series. It's all there for you. And the steering weight as well. Some Lambos of old have had sort of a synthetic weight, but this is there for you. You always know exactly where the front end is. The other thing which contributes to the overall agility of the car is, of course, rear wheel steer. That's something we haven't really touched on right now, and honestly that works in both extremes, when you're going very slow or very fast. So when you're going slowly around town, for example, the rear wheels turn very slightly in the opposite direction of the front wheels to virtually reduce the wheelbase of the car, giving it the bit of a stretch but London taxi effect, so that you can turn around in a small area. And then at higher speeds, for increased stability, the rear wheels turn very slightly at the same direction as the front wheels, giving it a virtual longer wheelbase, which means when you're giving it absolute send around the Nürburgring, it's an overall more stable platform. Now combine that with the added downforce, 450 kilograms of it at top speed, the confidence of shedding off speed with those brakes, great steering weight. Yeah, it's a very exciting package. Now, whether my friend who lent me this car will allow me, or whether Lamborghini will kindly help out, but comments below, don't we all just want to see a lap around the Nürburgring? I mean, that's what this thing's about, right? That's what it's about. Or Spa, actually Silverstone would do. I'd just be fascinated to see what this thing's like when it gets into its operating window. And what I mean by that is, this thing is designed to be driven really fast. Really fast. Seriously, what a machine. It's been a while since I've been in a Lamborghini full stop, but something with this purity and so much DNA descended down from the GT3 race cars. It's fantastic to actually feel that. Out on the road, the thing is so wild. It is as wild as it looks, which is obviously bonkers. I just would love to experience it on a track. So if we're nice to the guys at Pulse Rally, once again, thank you very much for lending us your phenomenal Huracan STO. Go and give those guys a follow. The links are below. But wouldn't it be great to get this out on a track and feel what it's all about? Share that with you. Because really, while it's a phenomenal experience out on the road, its real home, the purpose of its existence is lap times. Going out there, having a great time, rear wheel drive, quite playful. It'll be fascinating to see how this thing feels like when the bespoke tires are up to temperature. Let me know what you think. Questions and comments below. Let us know what you think about the spec, the color, the car in general, the fact that it could be one of the last naturally aspirated V10s in a Lambo. As always, thanks so much for watching. We shall see you next time. Ciao.